My father bought this farm back when I was a small child, as this area had been his childhood home, and for many generations my family has been from this area. My great-grandfather Charnel Tullis Hightower is buried at our local cemetery just down the old road. I graduated high school in Mount Vernon and married my high school sweetheart, and we have since traveled around the world in the Air Force. I retired in '99 and came back to the family farm, where I started growing gardens and started a vineyard and planted fruit trees and things like that. And so I've spent many of the last 12 years out here sitting under the tree and tending my gardens. The grapevines that I had planted back in '99 and 2000 and had faithfully pruned them several times a year to get a really good crop out of it. And I was able to get bushels of grapes from my vines in their day. It was a lot of fun, great enjoyment. I would take them to the market. My wife would make jelly out of them. Sometimes we'd even make wine. I can't remember exactly when TransCanada approached us about the upcoming pipeline. It must have been 2 years ago now. During that initial offer, when my mother accepted that, my mother being the signature authority, they really didn't actually walk up here and take a look at what impact they might have on me and my vines and trees and things like that. And I didn't really realize the impact that it might have. Even the day that they arrived with the machinery, I kind of thought that the vines that I had, if we just cut them to the ground, might grow back. Because I didn't realize, even at that stage, that we were about to maintain and bulldoze off the top 1 foot, which certainly removed any of the roots that may have grown back. The vineyard extended from nearly where I'm standing to the fence line. I had several persimmon trees, a couple of fruit trees, pear trees, some 500 foot of muscadine vines on trellis lines. It was a pretty good bit to tend. I am a little bit concerned with how well I'll be able to make it through the summer growing here. I may have to move my vineyard to a different location. Some of it I'm going to put back on their easement area when I move far enough away from the pipeline. It's almost been like a Barnum and Bailey circus with the types of equipment. Great tracked vehicles that had booms that could reach up into trees and cut the tree off and put it in a stack by itself. And later had great chipping machines that came and chipped up the wood into piles and took it away. It's been just an amazing process to watch. The pipeline has pretty much stopped my day-to-day routine. If nothing else, just having the people here in my yard causes me to stop and watch them. It's caused a fair amount of emotional turmoil in me, emotional turmoil in my wife. We've had various news reporters come and talk to us, people protesting in our yard, things that we would not have imagined a couple of years ago. And when the protesters were here, we had a swell of 80 towards even 100 people. They were very nice people. They held signs and waved and asked people to honk if they were against the pipeline, things of this nature. And I felt we needed to feed them, and take care of them. So my nephew had brought some meat to cook, and others went to the store and brought meat, and there was a lot of food, and I barbecued on my big barbecue grill and was able to feed all of the people. It was a whole lot of fun. I tried to treat everyone that has come like they were practically part of my family, or certainly friends. I've treated the pipeline people very well, and I treated the protesters well also. And I offered to barbecue for the pipeline people, but they didn't take me up on it. I watched them, and sometimes there'll be 30 or 40 people here in the yard, and they'll bring out what kind of modest lunch they have, and they will all sit together and eat, and I feel like that's very modest. As a host, I should provide more for them. Yeah, the Michaels people are really good people. They very well are. They left one of my vines by the highway where it's really into their work area, and they took great care with their machinery and stuff not to damage it. Now they did too damage each and every plant that was inside of their boundary, but the things that were immediately beyond the boundary, they took great care not to damage. Yes, I can't fuss about the Michaels people. They've been really good. They really have. They were given a map with a line on it that came through my yard. They say that the pipeline won't break. What are the odds against the pipeline breaking? Well, what are the odds against the pipeline hitting my yard at all? I'd say similar to the odds on it breaking. I have concerns about the length of the pipeline, the pressure that I'm told that the fluids are going to be put under, and I'm reading articles about tar sands. I am concerned about the abrasive nature of the material flowing through the pipe for a number of years. It would seem like this is somewhat disconcerting. I'm not really an expert in those things, but it just seems to cause anxiety. I'm trying to put the best spin on this that I can for myself. It helps me cope with it. The pipeline has impacted some of the things that I do, but I try to grow quite a bit of things. I have a couple of vegetable gardens, and in a typical year I try to grow more than 100 different kinds of plants that provide food. Earlier in the spring, this was just loaded with tomatoes. I took them to the farmer's market, gave them away, and we canned them, fed many, many people. I had hopes this year of feeding 1,000 people, and I believe I probably did. I'm going to continue my farming. I envision myself trying to grow gourds along the fence line. People will be able to see from the highway. Maybe I can sell gourds at the farmer's market and sell to people. And I will reestablish my vineyard, and I hope to have it better than ever.